Imagine a battle where the fate of kingdoms is decided by one bloody, intense fight. Now imagine that battle being a clash of history and fantasy. Was the infamous Battle of the Bastards in Game of Thrones inspired by real events? Or was it just a thrilling work of fiction? Today we'll uncover the truth, comparing the brutal realities of history with the epic showdowns on screen. In the world of Game of Thrones, the Battle of the Bastards stands as one of the most intense and heart-pounding moments of the series. Jon Snow, the Stark heir, leads a desperate charge against Ramsay Bolton, the sadistic bastard of House Bolton. Thousands of soldiers fight for control of Winterfell, surrounded by mud, blood, and chaos. But how much of this battle is rooted in history, and how much is pure imagination? While Jon Snow's battle might feel larger than life, it bears striking resemblances to the brutal clashes from medieval history, particularly the Battle of Hastings in 1066. Like Jon, King Harold Godwinson of England found himself fighting a much larger invading force. But while Game of Thrones' battle had the dramatic rescue moment, in real history, there was no such cavalry, just the cold, unforgiving reality of war. At the Battle of Hastings, King Harold's forces were not only outnumbered but exhausted after fighting off an invasion earlier in the day. Despite a heroic defense, the Norman army, led by William the Conqueror, overwhelmed the English forces. The tide turned when Harold was struck in the eye with an arrow, much like how Jon Snow is nearly killed by Ramsay in his battle. The difference? There were no dramatic moments where Jon could rally his troops to victory. So, what's the link between these real-world historical battles and Game of Thrones? George R.R. Martin, the brilliant mind behind the series, is a historian at heart. While he drew on the fictionalized drama of medieval dynasties, much of the bloodshed and strategy you see in Game of Thrones is inspired by real events. From the chaotic charge of knights to the strategic traps, many of these scenes echo the true brutality of battle in the Middle Ages. Take the battle tactics, for instance. The use of cavalry, the strategic positioning of archers, and the constant shifting of battle lines were all integral to real medieval battles. Even the ruthless leadership, like Ramsay Bolton's cruel approach to his soldiers, reflects the harsh nature of medieval rulers who weren't afraid to use fear as a weapon. One of the most iconic parts of the Battle of the Bastards is the fate of its leader, Jon Snow, fighting not just for survival but for the future of his people. But historically, what happened to the leaders on the battlefield? The Battle of Hastings wasn't just about the clash of swords, it was about leadership, strategy, and the fall of a king. After King Harold was slain at Hastings, England was thrown into disarray. The Battle of the Bastards similarly hinges on Jon Snow's survival, showing that a leader's fall can lead to chaos. History tells us that powerful men, whether Jon Snow or King Harold, could rise or fall based on the decisions they made in the heat of battle. So, while Game of Thrones gives us the drama, the intensity, and the high-stakes warfare that keeps us on the edge of our seats, it's clear that real battles were often even more brutal, more uncertain, and more life-changing. The Battle of the Bastards might be fictional, but it pulls directly from the blood-stained pages of history. History may have been darker, but it's not without its inspiration. Game of Thrones may show us the fight for Winterfell, but the true battlegrounds of history were far more dangerous and unpredictable. Until next time, my fellow travelers in time, let's keep uncovering the mysteries of our past, together.